a little time to work on Lamaisa. So we've discussed, I think we've discussed many times, and we're going to discuss it again, the understanding. Huh? Sure. We discussed what bitachon is, where bitachon is useful, and if I asked, you don't have to raise your hand. I don't want to, embarrass anybody. Not that I think anybody will get it wrong, but if we would ask a person, someone would ask you on the street, "Hey, I heard you're learning about bitachon. Heard bitachon's a really important midah. It's an important inyan, whatever they say, to have. Tell me, where does it apply in your life? Where can you use bitachon?" So if someone asks you that question, what would the answer be?
Where doesn't it apply?
Everywhere. Where does it not apply? That's what we've come to very clearly. A lot of the world doesn't recognize that, I don't think. They usually narrow it into parnasa, money and yanim. Sometimes it'll go into refuahs and sickness, tragedy in general. It's mostly where people put, I would say 90% of people would put 90% of bitachon in those three areas. Oh, shidduchim, maybe shidduchim also. If you have HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who, let's be fancy here, he's omnipresent, omnipotent, and what's the last one? Let's see who's the smart one over here. Omniscient. Can I say it like that? Omniscient. Omnipresent means in Hayehoviyah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in all time, at all times, every second. Omnipotent means he's all powerful. It comes from the word omni. What does omni mean? I'm just thinking about this right now. It could be I'm totally off. Does omni have to do with the number 8? Why is that coming to my head? Just means everything? I don't know. Okay, it's probably like a Greek word. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And omniscient means he's in all places. All knowing. Thank you. Sorry. All knowing. I guess omnipresent means in all places and all time. So you have this creator, this God, who is all knowing, all present, all powerful. It means everything. But I want to see if the root comes from the
it comes from
8.
the Latin word omnis, which means all or every.
Okay.
All things.
I want to go even deeper. Okay, I don't know why I'm thinking the number 8. Anyway, which would make sense because L'mayla and Ateva, but okay.
Also,
8 is a symbol for infinity.
Sideways, right? So you have this Ribono Shalom, and we're trusting in Him, the one who's all-knowing, all-powerful, and in all places, at all times. And yet we're limiting, not that anybody's doing that by their own fault. They just didn't know better. You're limiting His shlita over 4 big, but 4 inyanim of life. Most of a person's life, most of the time, he's not dealing with those things. With Hashem, for most people, most of the time, things are okay. They're not always going through shidduchim stuff. Of course, there's a period of life that might be. You're not always going through parnasa inyanim, but of course, there are parts of life that sometimes. So we've limited, in the general sense, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's power. It's like He works here, and for everything else in life, which is a lot of life, I'll have to just rely on like my street swords or something. But we've learned here that that's not true. And if a person learns bitachon properly, bitachon built on emunah, strong emunah, and now we're trusting in that one that we believe in. It's every single sugya. There is nothing that bitachon cannot touch. Every reaction that we have, any action that we make, is and can be, hopefully, influenced by bitachon. And bitachon, part of bitachon is hishtadlus. That's right. How much hishtadlus do you do? In what areas do you do hishtadlus? It's dependent on your level of bitachon. Your understanding of bitachon, where you're holding in bitachon. That's how much hishtadlus you will do. And hishtadlus is very important. You can get to a point, if you're a big tzaddik, like the Chazal said, you could get to a point where You don't have to do any hishtadlus for parnasa, maybe, but he didn't say that by everything else. Hishtadlus is always part of the game. Now, we've been discussing here the past many, many weeks, Baruch Hashem. We are coming still bitachon l'maisa sheba l'maisa to understand how bitachon will help us act and react in many, many sugyas of life. Big sugyas. How when Kadosh Baruch Hu has to judge us, sometimes in a harsh way, how we react to that. How we deal with when a person, his money, his tzedakahs, how he looks at getting a job. Big, big, big sugyas, amongst other things. The hodah that we have to have. Now we're going to go to another sugya here, which I was very excited as I saw this morning. We're going to probably sit on this, I'm hoping, for a little bit of time, because it's so massive, this sugya, in our lives. And if we understand how bitachon can be used to influence and to help and to guide us in this area, it can literally change a person's life. Perhaps more than a lot of other sugyas that we think are more pressing in our life. So let's start. Vashishi. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. I might run. I don't know. Let's see. Vashishi, page 213. Vashishi, the sixth difference. Ki abotech belokim hu ahuv lo kokitos b'nei adam v'daitem nocha olav. Before we go on further, the sixth difference: a person who relies on God. You have a Baal Bitachon. He is beloved by all types of people, and they feel at ease with him. So right away, you see off the bat that a person who's a Baal Bitachon, which is between you and God, between you and Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's Bitachon, right? That's going to help you become a beloved person, a truly beloved person, not just you're manipulating people, like certain books in this world, I'm not going to mention names, they teach you how to manipulate people. That's not what we want. A person who's a Baal Bitachon,
I'm sorry, I may have missed it. What page are you
213.
on? Oh, that's right.
213.
That's too far.
A person who's a true Baal Bitachon, says Chavos Avavos, people will love you. Why? Go back to the Hebrew. Mipnei shehem betuchim mehazakaso v'libam shalom mechamaso v'lo yivchadu mimenu on the shem v'al namon. Because they feel, the other people feel towards you, that he, meaning you, will not harm them. And their hearts are at peace because of him. A Baal Bitachon has worked on himself. He trusts in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And we discussed a few weeks ago, one of the major benefits of Bitachon is that it helps a person with his typhus. Helps him with lo sachmod. Right? Do not covet. Don't be jealous. A person who's a true Baal Bitachon, he's a ma'amin and a Baal Bitachon, he is not going to be, or whatever level he's at, he will be better at working, lowering his typhus and his coveting, his desiring of other people's stuff much more. Why? Because he believes if it was meant for him, he'd have it. Doesn't mean a person cannot want. A person can have a ratzon Kadosh Baruch Hu. I see by this guy that he has this, and I think that would help me with my vodas Hashem. Okay, so daven to Kadosh Baruch Hu. But to be jealous of a person, to be upset when other people get stuff, or they look more successful than you, which in a very deep way, and no one announces this ever, it is very, very deeply rooted, it totally disturbs your relationship with this person. If you are jealous of another person, which very often you don't even know, consciously, you're just upset at that person. Right? There's a distance, there's a period that is made anytime a person has ill feelings, ill thoughts, ill will against another person. What is the midah that is needed to connect? What's the connector midah? You could say different ones, but which midah specific that connects? I would say ahava. I would say ahava is more. You need anav and bittul to get the ahava, really. But ahava, love. That word love is already. Let's not use that word. Ahava means to connect it. That's what it means. There's a bond. There's a kesher. It's the world of Dveikus and Ahava, or if you look at the Mesilas Yesharim, it's one and the same. Dveikus means to be davuk, to be glued to be connected to. Ahava. Anytime a person has, right, we're human beings here. Yes, you could hug another person, you could be connected in that way, but generally the connection between people, relationships, are more in the mind than in the heart. If we have problems, inner problems with other people, then we can't connect them. They can't connect us. If they have problems with us, that's the first paragraph here is people have problems with us. If a person feels that they can trust you, they can be vulnerable with you, then they can connect to you. Right? Simple as that. If they trust that you're not going to steal their idea and take the money, then they can divulge. They could tell you they did. They could ask you your eitzah. They can want to connect with you. One of the ways that you come to trust another person, or they will trust you, is if you're a real Baal Bitachon, and you believe whatever you do in life, whatever you get is from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's been proven over time that you're not looking for your own selfish interests, because a man of God, a Baal Bitachon, is someone he could be selfless, and he could be open. We've discussed this. To be open emotionally, open heart, is when you have Bitachon. Because you're not scared, you're not tight. Right? If you trust in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you could be open, knowing that it's going to be okay. We'll discuss. And therefore, other people can trust you and love you.
That's the key phrase that you just said. You have proven over time.
So proven over time. So proven over time. Okay, I'll jump into it right now because you pointed it. Okay. We'll just say in the next paragraph. We'll just say now and then we'll come back to it. Doesn't matter. Here he's talking about people loving you, trusting you. We're going to also speak about trusting other people. When we discuss trusting other people, right? You believe in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you trust in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you could trust in other people, they could trust in you. We're going to go into details, we're going to get into this deep. But that does not mean that a person can think, well, if I truly believe in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, then I can invest myself, money of course also, but I can invest myself in another person, because listen, if a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants it to be a good relationship, then it'll be okay. I could be vulnerable to any person, because listen, if a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants that guy to take my idea and sell it and make money and stab me in the back, and then that's what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. That's okay, because I believe in him. No, that's not how it works. You still need to do hishtadlus. Remember, you need to do hishtadlus. Hishtadlus is not a monetary term. It never was. It's not monetary. It turned into that. How about hishtadlus in which relationships you should create? When a person is going on shidduchim, it's hishtadlus. When you're looking for a business partner, it's hishtadlus. When you're looking for a chavrus in learning, it's hishtadlus to find the right person. It's hishtadlus. So proven over time, which I was pointing out, is this is going to be the world of hishtadlus. Even if we trust other people, or we are allowing ourselves to trust other people because we trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, we're going to come back into this, just saying it now. It still has to be done with proper hishtadlus. You don't just invest money with the first guy who says, hey, I just became an investor. Do you want to give me $1 million? I guarantee 10%. Sir, have you ever done this before? No. But aren't you a Baal Bitachon? Guy's like, yeah, I'm a Baal Bitachon. He says, okay, so trust in me. What's the big deal? I believe in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Let's do it together. That would be a bad business move. That would not be what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. That doesn't mean you have to look for the best of the best of the best. I'm not getting into the details now. But you always have to do hishtadlus, even within your bitachon. Once you do the proper hishtadlus, then you can trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You could be at ease. Correct? So far, so good? So let's read this again. The sixth difference. A person who relies on God is beloved. People love him, or by all types of people, and they feel at ease with him. They can speak to him. They can be vulnerable. They can open up because they feel secure that he will not harm them. And their hearts are at peace because of him. They're not afraid of his taking their wives or their money, or taking their emotions, or manipulating them, or so many things that we don't realize that we're scared of other people. And we're not saying here that you should be vulnerable to every single person. No, that's not good either. But we do not connect fully to people in a way that we should. I'll just throw out, I don't know, let's say a mitzvah called V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, where you're not able to do the mitzvah, to fulfill the mitzvah, V'ahavta l'recha kamocha. One of the reasons is because we deeply don't trust other people. We don't trust them, so I can't give over my love. I can't love that person. But with bitachon, something you never would have thought of, maybe, with bitachon, the world of ahava can be opened up. People loving you, you loving them, as we'll see soon. The world of ahavta, which is paramount in the world of Torah, of course, and Yiddishkeit, and Kadosh Baruch Hu, says that Klal Gadol b'Torah, says Rabbi Akiva, and the Baal Shem built Chassidus. One of the pillars is on Ahavas Yisrael, who was more than Ohav Yisrael than the Baal Shem Tov himself. It's built on Emunah and Bitachon, on Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because when you have Emunah and Bitachon in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, truly, then you can open up. And if you have Emunah and Bitachon in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, then other people can open up to you. Right? This is huge. Again, you have to be very careful. I'm not telling there's certain personalities I know that want to love and to be loved, and they're looking for anything to get that, which is important. So if you tell them bitachon, and they're working on bitachon, so now they're going to just become vulnerable to every single person they meet. That's not what we want right now. Lad lad. You have to understand the sugya first. Make sure we understand what's going on. So far, so good? Good question.
You're saying that trust is the only or one of the several necessary components for Ahava?
One of the components.
Okay, because you can trust somebody, but you just don't like their meters. I know I can trust them with anything. They just behave like a jerk.
So therefore, you'll connect to him on one level, and maybe not connect to another level. But at least we're open when a person is not able to dissect this person who you can trust him, let's say in business, but you don't like him, you might not do business with him. It could be because I don't like him. So I can't separate the two. Bitachon helps with that also, because what bitachon does also is we disengage from the person, right? When we engage with people, we engage with life. Usually it is when you engage with anybody, you engage it and you try to give it your 100%. But therefore, if I have to give my 100% to this person and I don't like a little bit about him, I have to disengage. I can't be there. Happens very often. What bitachon does is that when there's me and you, and there's me and Dov, but then there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu in this triangle, right? I truly trust in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. I truly trust in him. He runs the world. We've learned this for a long time. That allows me to be able to engage with somebody in one way, even if I don't like something else about him. Because why do we disengage? Because we're nervous. If we engage in one thing, then we have the whole thing, and I don't know if I can handle that. But if that's meant to be, then you're holding on to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. You're not scared. Remember, bitachon also helps you with any fear you have. Mm-hmm. So we're not scared that if I engage with this person in one area, that I'm going to be totally overrun by them, unless that's an actual reality. Right? You still have to do your shtadlus. If there's a guy he's known to be a ganav, he's known to be a ganav. He's a manipulator, whatever. He's one of these guys. He's a shiesty guy. I think that's the language they use. And this shiesty guy comes to you and says, listen, I have a deal. I know I'm a shiesty guy, but I'm legit. In this one deal, it's legit. Check it out. It's legit. You could do your research. And you talk to do the research, you're like, oh, it's not legit. So then this person might say, well, bitachon says, I have to be very careful over here. Bitachon says, oh, what did Rabbi Yirmi say? You could separate. You could trust him in that one area, and in the other areas you could turn. No. You still have to have a brain in your head. Hishtadlis means don't go near this person.
You discern.
What?
You discern.
Havana. To still think. I want to be very clear because bitachon people can make mistakes with bitachon. They can go so far as, I have bitachon, I'm not going to work anymore because I'm going to win the lottery. In the Chovos Vavos world, that's ridiculous. In another world, I don't know. Maybe some people try to do that.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Thank you. Chaim. Thank you for trying it for us. Like Shlomo Melech in Koheles, right? He tried everything. He said it's not worth it. And a guy's like, but I also want to know that's not worth it. Be careful with that too. So when we have bitachon and it's opening us up, real bitachon can really open you up in a way of ahava towards other people and people towards you in an amazing way. You still need to do your hishtadlus. It's still between you and a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's bitachon between you and a Kadosh Baruch Hu, not just you and the other person. Kadosh Baruch Hu is always in the love triangle. He's the main piece. Okay? So therefore, if you have real bitachon, you'll see people will want to be friendly with you. You're not trying to manipulate them. You're not trying to steal their ideas. You're actually, honestly, sweet, loving, want to help people in any way you can. That's what happens. You're about chesed, we learned about. You want to get tzedakah. You're a person who's always happy because even when things don't go well in life, you're makabel the judgment. That was one of the reactions. You thank a Kadosh Baruch Hu. People see that. They hear how you speak with chizik. And then they want to connect to you. And it's not about gaiva, it's not about becoming the most popular guy in school. It's not what it's about. It's about living a life that a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to live. And he wants achdus amongst Klal Yisrael. Who didn't love David HaMelech? Okay, actually, he had some people who didn't love him. But for the normal people, they all had vendettas against David HaMelech because they were jealous of him. But the Hamanam, he was the most beloved. Shalom Melech, everybody loved them. They were Bal Bitachon. Let's go back there. V'hu gam kein batuach mehem, mipnei sheyodeya sheto'alto v'nizko einam biyad nivra v'lo biyachalto. Yal kein einenu, page 214, mifached mehazakason kasher einenu mekave hanaosim. Translates. He too, the Baal Bitachon, also feels secure with them, other people, because he knows that his benefit or harm are not in the hands of any creation, nor is it in their power to do either good or bad to him. You can open up with other people because it's not this. I'm not scared of this person, and I'm not even benefit. This person doesn't even benefit me. It's a Kadosh Baruch Hu decides. So again, I could trust. I could be vulnerable. I could be open with hishtadlus. Right? We don't just open up to every single person. You don't. The town gossiper comes to you. Yanta comes to you. Sorry if anybody's name is Yanta. That's if that's your name. That's rough. If Yenta comes to you with the town gossiper and says, hey, you look sad today. Tell me what's wrong. And you're like, oh, I'm so happy you're asking because I just worked on bitachon and now I know that I could trust you. You're not going to tell anybody, right? Of course not. And you divulge all your deepest secrets. Right? That's not normal. That's not what bitachon says either. Bitachon, I was reading yesterday. There's the art school just came out with the biography of Kotzk. I'm a big Kotzk guy. In a good way. Be careful. So the Kotzker's Rebbe was, one of the Rebbes was Simcha Bunam, Pershischa. So he says, they're very stark, the Kotzkers. They're very clear. So I think that Simcha Bunam, I don't remember the quote, I read it fast, but he basically said, all of mitzvahs can be really under one big cloud. All mitzvahs is really under one big cloud. So now everybody knows, if I ask you that, we'd say, what's the cloud? Everyone knows from the end, from the Gemara and Makos, Tzadik be'emunah yecheh. All of mitzvahs really. So Simcha Bunam says, you know what the main mitzvah of all Torah is? Don't be a fool. Don't be a fool in life. So that's the cloud god of all mitzvahs. Okay, it's a big Torah. It's not really for now, but you still can't be a fool. Bitachon doesn't say become vulnerable and be a fool. You understand? So he too feels secure with them because he knows that his benefit or harm are not in the hands of any creation, nor is in the power to do either good or bad to him. Therefore, he is not afraid of their harming him, just as he does not expect to benefit from them. Everybody's a Shulech Hashem. We have to look at it like that. Everybody's a Shulech Hashem. Now, my avoda in this world is also to love Shluchim. He's not an Amazon Prime driver, as we've used that mashal many times. Remember that? He's not the place. Right? My kids, my co-workers, my wife, they're all Shluchim from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But I wouldn't deal with them like an Amazon Prime driver, right? I would love them as much as I can love them, as much as I'm supposed to. Right? Shluchim is not a cold word. But we have to look at everybody and everything in this world as a Shlich Hashem. I mean, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Iker. All comes from Him. All harm is from Him to us, sometimes through a medium, for our benefit, to make us better. That's what Bitachon teaches us. And all benefit that we get from this world or from people comes from Him, certainly for our benefit. And maybe even to thank that person, to get closer to that person, right? Kadosh Baruch Hu, sometimes He wants you to get close to a certain person. So what does He do? He sends that person to benefit you in some way. The tachlis is not just for the money He gave you. It's actually so you build a relationship with Him. Bitachon opens us up to seeing the world in a bigger way. And therefore people can love us and we can love them. Achdus. True ahava is two ways. You give to them, you love them. When people give to you, they love you. That's achdus. Ahava, right, we know is gematria echad. Same thing, right? Two ways. What? This is what it is. You have to give. You have to give. You can only give if you feel open. And giving is not just your body. Giving means your emotions, giving your heart. The way you make a true relationship, a true achdus, is when you give your heart. When you give your heart to them and they give your heart to you. That's a big avoda. Most people are not even in touch with their heart. And the heart is very, very subtle, very, very sensitive. And therefore it hides. It does not reveal itself so easily. Your hands, your head, your doings, that's easy. Because I could help a guy out, but my heart is totally not with him. But I want to look like a good guy, whatever it is. Your heart doesn't come out so easily. Even in relationships with a spouse, it doesn't come out so easily. It takes a long time, and that's only if you're working on it. So we're going to see bitachon also can help shalom bayis, right? Whatever we just said here, can this not be a integral facet of one's shalom bayis? Because part of shalom bayis, certainly, if not the most important aspect, is ahava. Ahava, true ahava, with the heart, is dependent on trust. I can't truly love the other one, and the other one can't truly love me unless we could trust each other. It's a very deep-rooted midah. And I can't truly trust another person unless either I've been with them for 50, 60 years, or I truly trust a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Really, really I trust a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And I did my hishtadlis to find this person, right? Now, if I truly trust the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and I did my true hishtadlis to find, we're talking about, let's say, a wife here, and any wives who are listening, you found your husband, and now you did your hishtadlis to find that person, and you get married. Now you can open up. You can slowly become vulnerable, even though everybody knows no one's perfect, and everybody makes mistakes, but you still can give over your heart slowly but surely, because you're really relying on a Kadosh Baruch. Let this settle in for a little bit. We'll probably go over this again. It's so important. Who would have ever thought that bitachon has to do with shalom bayis? But bitachon is one of the yesodos of everything. Right? It's one of the most basic emunah bitachon. If you don't have that, then every other level is broken. This is the foundations of everything, emunah bitachon. And if you have emunah bitachon, then you could start working towards the Esher Sfiros, as we've been discussing. So ahava, right? Ahava is dependent on something much deeper than that, which is emunah bitachon. So if you have emunah bitachon stark, then your ahava can open up. But if you don't have emunah bitachon stark, then your ahava is going to be in a state of tzimtzum. Now you can get by with people, coworkers and friends. You can get by with a lave that's b'tzimtzum. You can get by because you could fake it. No one really knows what's going on in your heart, and you can act in a way that you look like you're buddy-buddy with them, and everybody knows this, but you're not really. But the other person doesn't know that because it looks like you're a friendly guy. But you cannot get away. When it comes to the in-house, the wife and the kids, you can't get away. Wife, not for a minute. Kids, over the long run, if it's not true. If the ahava is not true, you will get called out, and you'll see the fruits, the rotten fruits that will come out. That's reality. It's not real. Everybody's struggling. How do I do this? One of the components, a major component, is bitachon. You won't find that in too many books. But it is. Because again, if ahava is dependent on the heart, and the heart is dependent on a bitachon, so we have to work on that. I'll give you an example. Amazing example. I love how Shkacha works. Tell me, from what we've learned now, where do you see this clear? Okay, I'll make it, we'll start big. In Torah B'Chsav. Torah B'Chsav, not Torah B'Peh, Torah B'Chsav. Where do you see this concept? In your face, I think, clear. This whole concept. Now, there's probably many, but one is just only because it was yesterday's parsha.
Yosef and the brothers after Yaakov died?
No. What happened?
Yeah. Because they, about being upset, he said, "Are you kidding me? The Kadosh Baruch Hu orchestrated all this, and of course I'm not upset with you."
So let's take that and go even further. So Yosef is sold by his brothers, hated by his brothers. 22 years he's away from his father. I mean, we know the ending, so it's hard for us. But if you could think about that for a minute. Your brothers sold you. They wanted to kill you. They threw you into a pit to die with snakes and scorpions. Then they pull you out. They sell you. Every single Nisayan, not Yosef, but somebody in Yosef's shoes, every single time for 22 years that this person will go through, what would he think? I hate those. I hate the brothers. I hate them. If they were here right now. And when he became Paro, when he became the viceroy, let me go find those brothers. Now he's the koach. But yet we know what? Yosef and his amazing bitachon, which I think it was last year, we gave a whole shear, and the whole hishtalshus of Yosef's life was one of the factors to teach him bitachon. He became the Baal bitachon extraordinaire. There's no question. To live through all the nisyonos, all the taivas, all the ups and downs, and come out the way he came out, it was bitachon. He's the Baal bitachon. That's why it always comes out on Hanukkah and bitachon we discussed. So now the brothers are nervous, the end of the parsha. Yaakov's not with us anymore. What's Yosef going to do to us? Open psukim. And Yosef said, what are you talking about? I already told you 5 times that I believe that I had to be sent down by a Kadosh Baruch Hu. You didn't do it. Yes, you did a shtadlus, and that's your averas between you and a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's what Yosef came to. Yeah, you did an avera. That's between you and God, not between me and you. Between me and you, there's only a hava, because I believe that a Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted me to go down. Do you understand? Because of Yosef's emunah and bitachon and Kadosh Baruch Hu, his heart was able to open up to the ones who tried to kill him. Is that mind-boggling? It was emunah and bitachon. It's clear. That's what the psukim say. They're nervous, and he says, "Don't be nervous." He said 5 times last week's parsha, this week's. Don't be nervous. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent me. I have bitachon. It's clear. I love you, 100%. Come close to me. So Yosef is like the biggest. Can you fathom such a madrega of a hava between him and his brothers that he can have with them? And it's all because of bitachon. Does it make sense? What does he do?
I just said bitachon cleared the way for Ahava.
Bitachon cleared the way for hava. But, and a big but, the brothers who maybe between them and God did something wrong. I'm not judging them. Let's just say between them and Kadosh Baruch Hu, maybe they did something wrong to Yosef. And it was not deserving what they did to him. Whatever. And yet, they cannot come close to him at the end. They're still scared. They're still nervous. So they can't trust him. They're not able to give over their hearts to Yosef. You see, they're not able to. They're nervous. They're scared. The ones who did something maybe wrong, probably, whatever. They couldn't give over themselves to Yosef. But Yosef, who was the victim of 22 years, perhaps, from the brothers, he was able to forgive them fully and love them fully.
Isn't that show a lack in Yosef bitachon? Because we started this year that a person has bitachon, other people are open to getting close to them.
Okay, I didn't think about that. That's an interesting question.
Didn't he clearly say that, I know that you did this, but that's between me and God?
He did say many times.
And he completely took them out of it.
Meaning, in that, with that people will...
There might have been a piece there where they felt that they couldn't.
I don't want to get so medactic, but let's just say Mitzrayim. How many people in Mitzrayim liked Yosef? 100%. They all loved him. Everybody loved him. These 10, it might have been from their own stuff. Just because you have bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu 100%, that doesn't mean every single person, Memela, can just love you. They have their own stuff. But between you, they can still, they had some stuff. They had stuff. But you see how, this is mamish in this week's parsha, or last week's.
Did he really forgive them, or did he more or less excuse them?
Pashup shot, either, let's say they did, so what? Therefore what?
No, I'm saying because he's saying that maybe he didn't love them, and that's why they didn't, or he didn't trust them, that's why they didn't love them.
No, he's saying that if you have bitachon, the Chavos Baba said, then people will love you and trust you and come close to you. We see with the brothers, they didn't trust Yosef so much, and they did not love him. So Chaim is saying, so maybe there's a pagam, not he wasn't saying like that, but maybe there's something in Yosef's bitachon.
Maybe that was before his response, and then after his response, then you see it just ends over there, and then they take his book.
Also, I don't think it's a thing concerning Yosef. When let's say they did something to Yosef, right? When it sees of a person is even if you fully forgive somebody, the person that wronged doesn't feel that, no matter what you do. It's just the mitzvahs. I don't think that's a lack of Yosef's bitachon.
I don't know if I want to go in this rabbit hole.
Sounds like you do.
Maybe afterwards. These things are very important to speak out, and you have to be very careful. We I don't even want to get into it.
We're trying to learn pshat.
We speak in very vague ways, and you have to be very medactic when it comes to these inyanim, especially when you're speaking about other people's emotions, trying to compare your emotions to their emotions. I try, and I'm not perfect, but to just read the psukim for what we have. Yes, you often have to read Chazal, but try. That doesn't mean we know exactly what Yosef's feeling with the brothers. Who are we to say such a thing? We don't even know what our own feelings are, let alone from a few hundred years, 1,000 years ago. But we have to take lessons out of the Torah. So we have to be very careful to even though we're taking lessons from Yosef and the brothers, not to pass judgment on Yosef and the brothers. That we have to make a separation. But what the Torah is teaching us, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted the Torah to be written, right? We have bitachon, we have emunah, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said these exact words to Moshe. There was a lot of conversations. How many thousands of conversations went on between Yaakov, Yosef, everybody, Avram, that we don't even know? We know a few conversations. We're trying to build so we know we don't know. But what we have in the Torah, that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to know. You see clearly that the brothers were nervous of Yosef. They couldn't fully give over. Maybe at the end they did, but at least in the beginning they couldn't. Yosef had told them already many times that it wasn't you. I have bitachon. It was HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he was able to be vulnerable to them in whatever way, connect to them, but they were not able to reciprocate. I think Chazal bring down, maybe Rashi brings down, I don't remember, I think Rashi, that at the end, he wasn't eating sudas with them. Right? He wouldn't eat sudas with them. That's why they got scared also. Why isn't Yosef eating with us? If he really loved us, why is... So, there's an explanation, because Yosef wanted Yehuda to be the head of the Shvatim. I'm just giving you one explanation. This is not like the only answer. Yosef wanted Yehuda to be the head of the Shvatim, and if he was sitting there, they wouldn't be able to make Yehuda the head because Yosef's the head of Mitzrayim. How could you do that? So Yosef separated himself in order to give Yehuda the opportunity to be the head, which is what he believed Yaakov wanted, his father. But if you don't have bitachon, you're going to start to see only negative, and you're going to start passing judgment. Oh, Yosef doesn't like us, right? Yeah, I'm not going to get into miscommunications. Yosef maybe should have told them. But if you don't have bitachon on Kadosh Baruch Hu, you could start seeing other people's actions in the worst way. But if you have bitachon, you're open with proper shtadlus to seeing the lighter side of things. Maybe they are telling the truth. That doesn't mean I have to be totally vulnerable, but maybe they are. Because I'm not fully relying on this person. I'm relying on a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And Kadosh Baruch Hu is orchestrating this whole thing. Maybe he wants me to actually connect with these people again. So you see, this is mamish in the parsha. I think it's clear that way. And we have to think about our own relationships. People to us and us to them. Why don't people like us? Or why don't I like that person? You're not going to go right away because I don't have bitachon. But just one example, and we're going to have to continue this next week. It's really very, very important. I don't want to go fast. How much of life is social relationships? So much. And bitachon is a real key. It's a key klali. It's a big key. Well, why wouldn't we want to sit on this for a while? But let's just say, for example, a person, he doesn't know this, but you distance yourself from a person. Why? Actually, if you'd be able to unearth it and really get into yourself, because you're jealous of that person. You're in a similar business. He's making it. You're not making it according to your expectations, which already we know expectations is negative bitachon. So now your broken bitachon, which is creating expectations, is now helping making you become jealous of this person. Now that you're jealous of this person, you don't realize, but you want to distance them. You don't want to talk to them because every time you see them, they bother you. Why do they bother you? Again, because you're jealous of them. But bitachon can say what? You have what you have. You get what you get. That person has what he has. Now that's intellectual. The bitachon part of it is to solely allow that to drip in. That takes a lot of time. I don't want to. There's a lot of. I'm like looking at a tree now, and I'm seeing like all the branches and all the branches on branches, and I'm seeing that I'm going to get myself into probably either trouble or it's a 6-hour share right now, which I think we're going to go with the trouble, and we're gonna pause it here. But I think we understand a lot of what happened today. It's something to think about, really think about. It's so important, and let's deal with it over the week, and let's come back to this. I think in another way, in a deeper way, and more branches next week.
Sure.